Welcome back to Studio 10. Did you know that when you give blood, you're potentially helping save 3 different lives?
It's true, everybody, and you can be a lifesaver this Monday during the Martin Luther King Blood Drive right here at Channel 10 and at Bell's Department Stores. Joining us today from Florida Blood Services is Dan Eberts, also known as Dan the Blood Man with the big red pants, and donor recipient Jim Walton. Hey, guys.
How you doing? Good morning.
So, Jim, you got leukemia. You came down with leukemia just all of a sudden. You're feeling good one day, and then a week or two later. Tell us your story.
Wow, that's a long one. I used to play paintball.
Okay.
And paintball was pretty much a passion. And I started feeling like I had flu symptoms. And of course you go to the doctor.
And tired.
You go to the doctor and they give you the Z-Pack and say come back in 10 days type of thing.
Drink lots of fluid.
Yeah, and of course you go on through the course of your life, and I've got kids, so of course they always come first, and it just didn't get better. And then I went back. Oh, it's worse this season. Take another Z-Pack. Type of thing. So. After about the second time that this didn't work, I went to, it was actually on a weekend, and I was feeling really bad. And I'd gone to, I call it a doc in the box, but it was an emergency care facility. Yeah. And the doctor's like, well, we think you have diverticulitis. You need to go get a CT scan. And so they recommended just going to the hospital. So I went to UCH, and of course there, God, we waited for probably 6 hours, and I was feeling horrible. And I went in, and of course, when you go to the hospital, first thing they do is take blood, And I was in there for about an hour, and all of a sudden they moved me to another room.
By yourself?
Right. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And it was kind of funny because my nurse kind of joking around, because even though I felt bad, I still have a pretty decent sense of humor. And her name was Corolla. And so I kept teasing her, is this a Nissan or...
Right.
And so she goes, oh, well, we just need to run some more tests. We're getting busy out here. We just want to put you by yourself. And she come back a little bit later. She says, we need to do another blood test. And I'm like, okay, because I already had an IV. And I'm like, okay. She was like, well, no, we can't do it out of that one. We have to do it out of another one. So I got stuck again. And I wasn't happy about that because I already wasn't feeling good. So about 45 minutes later, she comes in, walks in the door. Just all of a sudden, we think you have leukemia, and the doctor being in a minute.
Wow.
Out the door she goes.
Whoa.
In a matter of one day, from thinking you had the flu really bad to all of a sudden you have cancer.
Correct.
And at what point, because if you're feeling the symptoms, usually that means that you're not in the beginning stages.
Correct.
Right? So at what point were you? What was your prognosis when you were first diagnosed?
Well, when you first... They look at your blood work, and of course an oncologist is going to look at it and make an educated best off of his experience. But the next thing they do is a bone marrow biopsy. And so immediately I had to go in for a bone marrow biopsy. So usually that takes about 7 to 10 days to get an actual diagnosis from that. But my doctor, Dr. Park, he came in and he says, based off of what I know, I think you have leukemia. And so he said, I would like to put you in the hospital now and start you on some medication. It's an oral type of chemo, until we find out exactly what's going on.
Just in case you were progressed past the point. Okay.
Correct. Because they didn't really know at what level it is. I had acute myelogenous leukemia, which is basically the most aggressive form of leukemia there is.
My goodness.
So as it turned out, you needed 48 transfusions of red blood cells and 27 units of platelets.
Correct. I was in the hospital from May 11th through October the 12th.
And keep in folks, this is one guy. And Dan, this is why you do what you do and why it's so important that everybody give blood.
Almost 1,000 donations are needed daily in Tampa Bay, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Manatee, Polk, and Pinellas counties. We've got 46 hospitals here that treat patients from beyond Tampa Bay as well as here that come for that excellent medical care. Children's hospitals, cancer centers, trauma centers, veterans hospitals. And he's one story, a dramatic one, because more blood is actually used, Jerome, to treat diseases and people with chronic illnesses like that than accidents and surgeries combined. Medical science can do so many things with blood, but there's no artificial substitutes, which is why we encourage people to share their gift of life. Our body's little blood factories. Jim was talking about the bone marrow. That's your blood factory. And when you get chemo and radiation, it kills your good cells and your bad cells and messes up your blood factory. And he needed that life-saving transfusions regularly as he got treated to be cured. And, the donors are often those silent heroes. So
and you need as many as you need. It's not like they say, well, you get 20 and that's it. I mean, if you need 40, you get 40, and you know, as long as it's available.
Well, typically, like in my case, they did blood work every morning. You know, and based off of the blood work at that point, you know, that's what determined whether I needed to get blood, you know, a transfusion of some type. With leukemia, basically, you know, it starts in your bone marrow, and what it does is it creates and causes your white blood cells to make more cells that are not good.
Right.
And it eventually overcrowds the rest of the cells. So you now don't have your white blood cells that that fight infections. You start getting less red blood cells that carry oxygen to your system, and you end up having no platelets, which causes clotting problems. You know that helps with your clotting. So I mean, it was horrible.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but with bone marrow, it's more difficult usually to find a match, right? So when you're in the case that Jim was in, and you have to wait for a transplant.
Luckily, he didn't need a transplant.
I did not need it.
What happens, people who when the chemo and radiation doesn't work, their only last chance to live is to receive a bone marrow or stem cell transplant from a genetically matched donor.
Right.
And Monday's Drive, MLK Day, is both a blood drive where you can share your gift of life, help save up 3 lives with 1 blood donation, because somebody get your platelets, some of your plasma, some of your red blood cells. But you'll also have some information given to you where you can enter the National Marrow Donor Program's Be the Match registry, and maybe you will be that last hope for someone. We're going to be at Bell's department stores, select Bell's throughout Tampa Bay from noon until 6 here at the 10 studios. We also are going to be all of our donor centers. We have 17 fixed site donor centers in Tampa Bay open at least from noon to 6 on Monday. You can come out, give blood, honor Dr. King. What Need for Blood doesn't take a holiday. Going to get a great $5 off your next purchase at Bell's coupon. And we've got a gorgeous, gorgeous T-shirt this year. And it's from Dr. Queen quote: "The life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" And it's truly a way to give of yourself to others in need. And you also protect yourself and your family, because you never know when you're going to need blood. Exactly. And by paying it forward. And you also get a mini wellness checkup, as you know. That blood pressure, iron pulse, temperature, and cholesterol screening. That post-holiday, how's your health doing? Always a good thing.
And it's a good excuse to eat a cookie.
Yeah, you get free snacks, you get free beverages, and this is the first blood drive I've ever heard of where you could win a new car.
You know,
talk about that.
We're friendly Kia from Newport Richey has donated a Kia Soul, a 2012 Kia Soul, and anybody who gives blood November 1st through February 29th will have a chance to win that car. We'll be giving away on March the 7th, and even more especially on Monday's blood drive, Bell's is donating a $1,000 gift card, and anybody who gives blood just on Monday at any center, Bloodmobile at Bell's, or here at the 10 studios, we'll have a chance to win a $1,000 shopping spree.
If you're a shopper,
that is groovy.
You got to be a donor if you're a shopper. So come on, you can shop if you give just a little bit. That's very cool.
That is way cool.
And again, it is happening from noon to 6, and we're going to see Dan the Blitz again on Monday. So if you forget, don't worry, we're going to remind you, but put that on your calendar. You're probably off work, so come on out and give of yourself and help somebody like Jim. Thank you both.
Appreciate it.
How's a paintball game these days? Back on track?
Getting there.
All right.
Getting there.
Up next, a life transformed through the amazing work